Hello, welcome to Breck Buzz. Show is going to be telling you all about what's been happening the last month at the Breckenridge Town Council, and it's been an exciting month, let me tell you. We have had a couple of big stuff that the council's kind of put on the agenda, and I'm going to let Erin kind of kick it off. Oh, I ought to introduce my guest first. Erin Gigliello, council member, and Mayor John Warner are joining me today to help fill you guys in about what's been happening. And I say I'm so excited about the topic.
That's right. Yeah, well, it's exciting. It's
you might mention we are substituting.
Yeah. John is substituting, right. And Erin is substituting for the normal rotation that we have. But
Mark and Ben.
We have historically on this show have talked an awful lot about marijuana.
Yes.
And before it was about regulation and everything else like that. But now we're into this phase of, now that we're into the new recreational and the retail sales, and we have this issue that hanged out there when the new council came on board, which essentially is, what do we do with downtown?
Right.
So why don't you give a little history and why the topic is on the agenda, and then kind of a little bit of an overview, and then we'll talk a little bit about where the council's at in this strong debate, because it is a debate by a lot of folks right now.
It is. It's quite the debate. So currently there is one retail store in Breckenridge called Breckenridge Cannabis Club, and they were temporarily grandfathered in to the ordinance for them to stay, even though council had decided as of January 1st we were not going to have retail marijuana shops on Main Street in Breckenridge. Now, it's been some time, and council decided that to let the BCC stay until September 1st, because that's when their lease ended. Now, since then, there's been some changeover in council, and I'm new. Elizabeth Lawrence is also a new member. And so Caitlin from the Breckenridge Cannabis Club came to council and said, some time has passed, can we readdress this topic and see if we can stay? So a few council meetings ago, we took a straw poll, and it passed 4-3 for retail shops to stay in the downtown core. Now, since then, there have been heated discussions. We've heard quite a bit from the community, and during the last meeting, Gary Gallagher brought up the option of potentially putting it to a vote, and we talked about different restrictions that we could put on retail shops in the downtown core, how many retail shops we think there should be in Breckenridge as a whole, as well as the downtown core. And then we decided to make an announcement in the paper that we might put it on the ballot. So now, as far as I understand it, in this next meeting, we'll be discussing how to move forward. If we do want to put it on the ballot, what that would look like, what restrictions we want to look at, things like that. And we also talked about an ordinance and we went through a first reading of an ordinance to keep to allow the Breckenridge Cannabis Club to stay there until 90 days after that November election date.
Figure out what it is. Right.
Yes.
Okay. John, to finish setting the stage, where are all the marijuana places now, and how many are in town, and why aren't there more downtown?
Well, Erin is correct. The BCC, they started out as a medical marijuana facility. They're the only retail facility or medical marijuana facility that operates in the downtown core, which a lot of people call Main Street. It's not Main Street, it's Ridge Street, Main Street, and French Street, and a few other places. But it's the downtown core. It's what you think of as downtown. But there are 3 other retail pot organizations out on Airport Road, and then there's there is a medical marijuana sales store out on Airport Road as well. So we have 5 total that sell some form of marijuana, 4 on Airport Road, 1 in downtown Breckenridge. All of them, I believe, were medical marijuana organizations first to start. And originally, several years ago, we had like 3 medical marijuana organizations in downtown Breckenridge. One left because he kind of lost his lease. I'm not too sure why the other one left, but market forces came to bear and they left. So we were left with Brian and Caitlin at the Breckenridge Cannabis Club. Shortly thereafter, Amendment 64 passed. The only people that were allowed to convert to retail sales were people that had existing medical marijuana licenses. I believe that will change as of January 1st, 2015. Then just about anybody can apply. But so one of the topics, as Erin said, was should we have a cap on the number of retail sales organizations in the town of Breckenridge? And we did, I think, pretty much said, yeah, we'd like to cap it at what it is right now. And we are kind of assuming that the one medical marijuana outfit may convert. We don't know that for sure. But so if we do take this to a vote, create a ballot initiative, and it passed, and we had that cap on there, we would end up with 5 marijuana retail establishments of some type in some location. And Erin's right, we'll be considering that in the month of August. We'll have 2 readings of an ordinance, of a ballot issue, and if we approve it, then it will go on the November 4th ballot. So the previous council that I was on, that Erin wasn't on, we didn't really like the idea of a retail pot establishment in the downtown core. And so we created an ordinance in September of 2013, I think it was, to require Breckenridge Cannabis Club to leave the downtown core at the end of their lease. And that was the vote, and the vote was 4-1 at the time because Mark Burke was ill. Ben Brewer was the one that voted to against the ordinance to leave them there. Wendy Wolf had to recuse herself, so all of a sudden we were down to 5 council people. And that was basically the gist of it. And Erin's right, Caitlin did come to the council. Some of it was at my request. Brian and I had, her partner and I had talked back in April after the election. He said, when do you think you might revisit this? And I said, well, we'll do it probably sometime in May or June. Well, I was out of town in early June. Caitlin came, asked council to reconsider. We did, I think in late June or early July, had a straw vote, and it was 4 people for basically undoing the ordinance from September of 2013. And
so it's not just about keeping the one.
Well,
potentially also opening the door to...
Correct. The straw vote was about the one, but several of us, myself included, felt like, well, if we're going to have one, it's pretty unfair from a monopoly standpoint, competitive advantage standpoint, to still exclude the other ones. So that's when Gary came up with the idea, well, we all came up with the idea of let's have some restrictions. Gary came up with the idea of let's have a vote with the people, our citizens, and let's put some restrictions on it. I think Mark brought up the idea, let's stay out ahead of this issue with good restrictions, well thought out language, et cetera. And we had a first look at how the council felt at the last meeting 2 weeks ago, and it was 6-1 for the vote. I was the lone dissent.
To put the verbiage in the paper, I don't believe we voted.
Well, we didn't vote to do a ballot issue. We
Right.
voted to move in that direction and to direct staff, I think, to create an initiative. And we also voted to notify the county government that we were thinking about a ballot issue. And so Erin's right, we didn't vote on that. It was more of a, let's give staff direction to move forward. And so now the month of August will be spent considering whatever staff has come up with, Tim Berry, our town attorney, in addition to you, I'm sure, et cetera. So we'll be considering that, probably 2 visits, because I think we have to have a ballot initiative language, et cetera, done by early September.
Right, by the end of August.
To then have a valid ballot initiative on the ballot. And so that's likely what we'll be doing. And you're exactly right, it's controversial. We're meeting with some heated citizens' voices who are very upset that we're even reconsidering That's one, that we're considering this vote. Though I haven't heard that many people upset with the vote. I think they're upset with what will the outcome be, and if there are 5 places, where will they go? How are you going to regulate that, et cetera? And there was a lot of misinformation. Unfortunately, everybody thought they were going to be on main floors, they were going to raise the rent and push existing retail shops out of business, et cetera, or push them someplace else. So we're getting some clarity on the issue, which I'm glad. Some of the comments have been personal, particularly towards the whole council, but towards Erin and Elizabeth and Mark and Ben for being on the kind of pro revisit the issue concept. And I've tried to, at meetings, let our citizenry know that that's not appropriate. What's appropriate is to have some civil discourse and talk about this and consider the issues. And I'm not hearing as much heat now that the ballot issue is kind of floating around. So that's where we're at. We are hearing also from the other 4 outfits out on Airport Road that they really want to be part of the conversation, that they think it's only fair to allow them in the downtown core if we allow the Breckenridge Cannabis Club in the downtown core. And that's precipitated really this idea of a ballot initiative.
Okay, obviously we can't speak for everybody that's out there, but you guys have heard the arguments, and you each obviously have debated back and forth as representative of the whole council. Help a little bit with kind of the why should we, and why are people concerned that we shouldn't? Just to kind of give them a little bit of flavor of what was that debate that went on during the last couple of meetings.
Well, and I have heard some pushback on the vote. I've heard, why do we need to drag this out? This is why we have a town council, and we do participate in a representative democracy, and this is we don't typically do this. I mean, we typically
rarely go to a vote.
Exactly. Yeah, we put topics to a vote when it has to do with taxes because of Tabor.
You have to. Right.
Typically, we don't do this kind of a vote. But this is a controversial one, and so as far as why, some reasons why to have retail marijuana in the downtown core would be currently there aren't many red flags. I think that people. I myself, I'm concerned about creating an area simply for marijuana retail stores. Yeah, I mean, having a realtor row or something like that. I mean, it's now that it's a legal business, and the vote, Amendment 64, decriminalizing marijuana, and medical marijuana all passed in the 70% range, and so this is wanted by the citizens. This is what people had voted for. Maybe not specifically for the downtown core, but that wasn't asked in the vote. It wasn't, do you want to legalize marijuana outside the downtown core? So that's at least what I'm thinking, and I think it's unfair to discriminate one business over another.
And the issue of kicking a person out of downtown seemed to be a strong one too?
Exactly. No, that doesn't. Yes, of course, that as well. It's. I mean, it's.
I
shouldn't
have been so strong with that.
Yeah, no, but it's true. It does seem unfair.
Yeah.
They worked hard for their business. There's a reason why they survived when the other two didn't survive, and there haven't been any red flags this year compared to last year. 4th of July, we had record-hitting numbers as far as tourism goes. And sure, it's great for revenue, but I also feel like it's great for everybody's revenue too. This is a higher priced item. Why would we want that business to go away from our restaurants and our retail stores in the downtown core?
Good. Okay, John. Point counterpoint is what they.
Well, I will back Erin up. There have been very few problems with this one establishment. Alcohol is a much more bothersome substance, I think, out there. Unfortunately, the toothpaste has been out of the tube on alcohol since Prohibition ended. So my no vote really reflects a worry that this may be premature, a worry that we don't know what we don't know. We don't know how our brand will be affected by allowing up to five shops selling retail marijuana in the downtown core. And we have a place for it that's easy to get to, bus service, et cetera. And it's also becoming a district with the Breckenridge Distillery out there, the New Brook and Compass Brewery out there. It's kind of turning into an adult sort of substance area. So I'm not so worried about Realtor Row, but I think Erin has some sincere reasons for it, and it certainly was voted overwhelmingly. 64 was voted that way. In fact, in 2009, we voted to decriminalize marijuana in the town of Breckenridge. First one in the state. Same thing, 70-30. I didn't vote for it then, but I did vote for 64 this time. But I didn't vote for 64 for Main Street. And so now we're trying to interpret or understand where it ought to be. I do worry that if it is in our tourist and public's face, it could be detrimental to our brand and to our family image. But I have to be honest with you, the Breckenridge Cannabis Club hasn't been in anybody's face, except for the first maybe week or two when it was so busy. You know, they had 60 people coming down the stairs. And I think if we control it right, and we haven't really come up with all the controls, but stick with the second floor concept, maybe one per block, I don't know what the right number is, but I think it will work better than most of the critics believe. But I still feel that we have not removed it. We haven't gone against the voters' wishes, and I'm okay with it ending up on Airport Road.
Okay, let's take just a couple minutes anticipating what might be the new ordinance, the ballot question, which essentially is, if it's allowed on Main Street, if you vote yes, here is what would be the restriction. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the concepts that clearly haven't been approved yet,
right,
that are being talked about by the council.
Let's see here.
And just
we
throw a
talked
couple
about how many. We talked about proximity to residences.
Mm-hmm.
We talked where a shop may not be allowed to be in a residence or a building that has an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then proximity to residence, so maybe not next door, and as well as how many feet or how close it can be to a school. I know that we've also looked at how the proximity to rehabilitation centers, but there aren't any currently, so that hasn't been an issue. Help me out, John. I can't remember.
No, the
second floor.
Yeah, it had to be second floor.
Or not ground floor.
Right,
yeah.
not
Split
ground floor.
level, not.
Right, we all pretty much bought into no split level locations, which there are half a dozen on Main Street. But we did go with the upper level at La Cima, I think, was an area that we thought.
Because that would be above a second story.
Right, so, pretty much, it pretty much restricts where these can be, and I haven't counted up how many available spots there are, but there may be 5 more spots out there or 4 more spots out there. I don't know. And we also talked about not allowing a retail pot shop to displace current residential. But we haven't decided on it. That was kind of my thought, and I think we had an attorney from the public claiming that would be a poor choice to make, that we would be restricting some ownership rights for people that own property that might want to sell it to a marijuana entrepreneur who had the money to kick everybody out and then boom, put a pot shop up on the second floor. So we haven't decided that, but that was part of our discussion.
1 per block, I think was.
Yeah, we were thinking 1 every 200 feet, 1 per block. But I don't think we ever came down on something.
Part of
our discussion.
What you need to finish up, right?
Yep.
Okay. So fairly restrictive, not dissimilar to what we're doing in Airport Road, maybe just a little tighter because of the down. We don't have a split level out there on Airport Road, but there you couldn't be in a building with residential, but you could be next to one.
That's correct. Yes.
That was a mixed-use building, which is slightly different. So those are some of the things the council's talking about. So Tuesday will be discussion about all those things, and then deciding what's the ordinance that would go on the ballot, and then obviously a vote to put it on the ballot, first reading, and then second reading in the second meeting in August.
Correct.
Yes.
With the hope that, assuming all things fall into place, it would be ready for then putting on the ballot in November.
Right.
That's the plan.
Yep.
As well as the extension to the Breck Ridge.
Yes. Two other items that the council will be acting on. One is exactly that, is to give more time to the current operations so that they can stay at least through the vote. And if the vote's not successful, then they would have some time to transition out. And then the second was the cap.
Right.
Which would be to cap, because the previous council did not cap.
They did not cap it. They thought market forces would take care of the number of pot shops in the town of Breckenridge, and now our council, this new council, is kind of, no, let's contemplate a cap. So we've kind of reversed that thinking as well.
Okay. So a lot of business on marijuana coming up on Tuesday night next week, and obviously if it goes to the vote, there'll be probably a lot of more information out there as folks hone their arguments. So that was the big topic. But before we go into the other exciting items we talked about, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the Breck Buzz. And welcome back to the Breck Buzz. Now we're going to go off of marijuana for a little while, talk about some other exciting stuff. One of the other topics that the council wrestled a little bit with was a little pressure you're getting from the business community downtown again. And this is related to signage. It's a thing we call sandwich boards, which generally are not allowed downtown, or have historically not been allowed downtown.
Right.
But seems like after the recession, more pressure to get exposure to businesses, and a lot of people seem to be doing it and kind of violating the code. So the council wrestled with that one a little bit. What's that about, and where's that headed?
Well, we are wrestling with it, and we had one retailer come and talk to us about his angst with the sign code and the sandwich board situation. He's out of the downtown core, so the council really listened to his complaints. We just said, we're okay with sandwich boards outside of the downtown core. It's really on Main Street, where the sidewalks are only X number of feet wide, and you've got a sandwich board that's taking up 18 to 24 inches of that, and people are bumping into them as they're walking down, perhaps. Then there's the look of the sign, the sandwich board, how tall it is, what kind of colors do people use. So we would like to have a task force put together to contemplate sandwich boards, perhaps mannequins, perhaps merchandise displays. We have several retailers who put racks of clothes halfway out their door, and then when they see an enforcement person come by, they pull it back in. And we're kind of struggling with that. We have several days where you could have sidewalk sales. We just gave the retail community, I think, 2 more sidewalk sale days. I think that's 4 or 5 in total. And I don't want to put down any other resort communities, but we would like Breckenridge to have an alive, happening place look and feeling, but some of us are worried that that might go too far and we might look kind of ticky-tacky. And so that's why we'd like to rethink the display of merchandise, sandwich boards, etc. And it's a tough issue because a lot of them are restaurants and they are open at 5 o'clock. Our enforcement people are done at 5 o'clock. So the sandwich boards come out and people look and they decide to go into the restaurant. That's great. But they're still kind of getting in the way, and they're still violating the true nature of the sign code. So we'd like to move in a direction that's perhaps a little more progressive, but has some consensus in the community, and that's where we're headed.
It's an interesting balance between helping the businesses and trying to make the downtown look good.
That's correct, yes, because we don't want to look sterile, but at the same time, people need to be able to walk down the street. So just as John said, it's a very difficult balance, and we do have a sign ordinance in place for a reason, obviously, and businesses' regular signs, they're wooden signs. I mean, they're gorgeous,
very
and
right.
we get some good PR and marketing value out of that too. And if we could do something similar with with sidewalk signs. I don't know, but there are a lot of options out there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the task force has to say.
Some creative ideas. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Good. Yep. All right, we're going to run through some public projects because we got a lot of stuff going on in town this summer, and we always get questions. So I'm going to let Erin jump off with first our big one, the Breckenridge Grand Vacations Community Center.
Yes, yes. Well, and as we all know, it's been monsoon season, so it's taken a little bit. So some projects have taken a little bit longer. For instance, the parking lot, they were working on that last time. People are still working on that now. But this is important. The town will have 20-minute sneak peek tours of the building, and that's scheduled for Sunday, August 17th at 1 o'clock, from 1 to 3 o'clock. So you can take a look at the Breckenridge Grand Vacation Center, Community Center, before it's really open to everyone, which I think will be exciting.
So a lot of the work is won't be fully done, but you'll be able to see pretty close to what it might look like, huh?
And there's some work. Obviously, they're working on bringing this building into our century. Putting in cable, refinishing the floors, things like that.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that sneak peek. I haven't been over there in a few weeks.
I haven't either.
Arts District.
Arts District is coming along. They're going to have a soft opening in late September, I think the 26th, 27th, to 28th of September. It's exciting. I was walking through there today and talked to a couple of the craftsmen, and they're just doing beautiful work. They've been doing a bunch of dirt work the last few days, and it's really coming together. It's going to be a great asset for the community, and I am just tickled about the progress we've made on it.
I was impressed how much painting is now going. You actually have buildings that are painted.
And they're beautiful,
And
yeah.
they look
The
really
colors
cool.
are
Plus, I saw the Abbey Hall had been lifted
Yes,
up.
exactly,
That
They're
is
putting the foundation under.
Right. That's another wonderful project. That's a piece of property that the town bought about a year ago, and we're going to really restore the building to a high level of function, a high level of safety. We weren't quite too sure what the loads could be in terms of the upstairs. It's the old Masonic Hall, and that's really going to be exciting when that comes to fruition.
And the one that's dragging a little bit that we have to keep explaining every time is the Main Street Park.
That's right. So, well, now that the town is planning to be the general contractor, and we're restructuring it a little bit. I haven't heard the details, but we're working on a bid again.
Right, because the prices were a little high the first go
They've
around.
changed a little, yeah.
Good. And we are getting some art that's going to go in there too.
That's right,
great.
that's right, the Tom's Baby art, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
from donated by Mike Dudek and his family.
Yes.
Median on from the roundabout up to Valley Brook. Big project.
Big project.
Becoming,
my understanding it will be starting sometime in the month of August. The bidding is
done.
We're just
just
trying to figure out when to start, what the logistics are. Getting permission from the Colorado Department of Transportation, and it should be wonderful. It really is going to be an enhancement, improvement to the roundabout on the north end of town, and then the median taking you out to Valley Brook will be reconstructed. It'll be redesigned. It'll be elevated somewhat, so the vegetation won't take such a beating from mag chloride, the plows, etc. And it'll be quite an enhancement. It's something that the entire last council really was in favor, and I think the new council's excited about it as well.
Now, I also hear the rumor that we may be getting a little bit of an art presentation on the roundabout pretty shortly here.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Stuff coming in.
I hadn't heard that either.
Stay tuned. It's not coming yet, but I hear the art commission is.
You hear all the whispers.
Yeah. And that one was somewhat controversial too. So hopefully the next one will be a good go round. Two exciting projects at the rec center: skateboard park and turf field.
Well, the skateboard park, I believe they've poured the bowls, and they are working on a snake run. I had to look this up, but it's exactly what it sounds like. It looks like a snake. But that should be finished mid-October. And then the turf field, because of the rain again, it's taking a little bit longer than anticipated, but they are working on the subgrade.
Right now.
As of right now, yes.
So so when you see all the dirt over there, it's really a planned project.
Yes. We're not. We will have a skate park and we will have a turf field. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that bowl is a lot deeper than
Boy,
than the old one was.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, those kids are a lot more brave than I am. Another thing, John, that the council worked on was a naming policy, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You would think with all the town facilities and other things that we get challenged with, that we'd already have one of these, but we really don't have one of how to name things when we build them or when
People give us money.
when
or
people give
whatever.
us money.
Yeah, we never really have, and I think the first thing that I was involved with naming was the Stephen C. West Ice Arena, and that raised a few eyebrows. And
He's not dead, is
He's
he?
not dead. You know. He was the mayor at the time. He really pushed for the ice arena, and so we got to talk about that past history. The Breckenridge Grand Vacation naming raised a few eyebrows as well, but we received a wonderful amount of money, a large amount of money for the Breckenridge Grand Vacations Community Center, but we really didn't have a policy. So Rick Holman, our assistant town manager, put this together. I think we really only changed one thing. I mean, it's really at the discretion of the council, but the overarching assumption when you name something is that it ought to have some sort of historic merit, relate to the community for many years, et cetera. And if you're deceased, you had to wait 1 year before you could contemplate naming some sort of structure. We also reserve the right to unname a structure if it turns out that the...
Seen a few of those examples
there's
around the metro area.
In the metro area, there have been a few examples. So Rick did a wonderful job of putting this policy together, and I think the only thing we changed is he wanted a 5-year. You had to be deceased for 5 years before you could name something, and we as a council said, how about 1?
Yeah, I think we also revised the when a significant fundraising campaign could really be special.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it is up to the council in the end too. So there's a lot of flexibility there as well. Yeah.
So in fact, if you're interested in the first iteration of the naming policy, the council's going to have a chance on Tuesday to talk about naming the buildings in the Arts District.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Because
cool.
we have to put signs up, and we need to know what they're going to be called.
Got it. Well,
I saw that was on there, but
Yeah.
I didn't take a look at any of the names.
It should be interesting because I think it does generally try to follow the policy and see how the council thinks how that
We'll
focuses
put
on.
it to use.
Yeah,
That'd be
exactly.
great.
Yeah. Financials.
Yes.
Every month we review how we're doing. We're kind of mid-year. Sales tax a little bit before mid-year, but how are we looking?
We're looking good. Tourist visits are up, but yeah, revenue's looking well, and again, record 4th of July. So,
Yeah. And June was very surprising. Kind of a strong month.
June was a very strong month. All sectors were up. Retail was up. Short-term lodging was up. Restaurants were up. And then we got a report a couple days ago from the Colorado Tourism Office saying Colorado was just killing it. By an order of a couple of digits percentage-wise. So Colorado and Breckenridge and Summit County, I believe, are all doing very well. The only thing that's a little flat is real estate transfer tax revenues is maybe up 1%. But there are a lot of real estate sales. I hear from realtors daily saying that things are kind of like it used to be. They kind of comes and goes as opposed to just being in a slump like it was in 2008 through 2012.
So all good news on the financial front. The last item that the council worked on a little bit was our new arts group, our advisory group that has been working on getting this new nonprofit started. Looked at some ways to how do you identify that place. And what is it that's special about the arts and culture? So they had a little presentation from some very creative marketing folks.
Right. Well, they were Barnhart and something.
Barnhart's the main name.
Barnhart's the main name. They're a creative ad agency out of the Front Range, and they've worked with the BRC, Go Breck, in the past, and a couple people made a very interesting presentation, and they would like to have us contemplate moving forward relative to culture and arts, kind of put the moniker on it, calling it Breck Create. And it's kind of a takeoff of recreating in Breckenridge, but creating in Breckenridge as well. And that's what people do when they come to Breckenridge. They create a wonderful vacation with our emphasis on the arts and heritage tourism. There are so many things they can partake in. And if they want to recreate, there's tons of things to do, fly fishing, biking, etc. So hiking. So it's, I think it's a pretty neat way to think about Breckenridge. They were very complimentary of Breckenridge in what we've done with arts, with Go Breck, with heritage tourism, Breckenridge Heritage Alliance. So there was a real kind of a kumbaya meeting with these folks from Barnhart.
He's a pretty energetic guy.
Very energetic.
Meshes well with the Go Breck,
Yes.
Which you've been more involved with
Yes.
than other folks.
Which I think that helps that Bernhardt has been involved with Go Breck, and now it will be with Breck Create. And I just thought it was a gorgeous presentation, and I think it's great that they can work hand in hand and with their online media and just down to the signage, which I hope. I know that Go Breck has been speaking of. I can't speak for Go Breck as much anymore because I'm not on the board, unfortunately. But they have been talking about looking at our signage as well, and it's important when we put ads out there, when we put marketing out there, that the experience in Breckenridge matches what people are expecting, and I think that both. Bernhardt working with the Arts District as well as the town, it'll help. I'm very excited about the whole
thing.
Yeah.
There's a very simple message.
Yeah.
Breck Create, and I think creative is becoming the key word that everybody is kind of rallying around as everything's creative. Kept cooking, all those type of great things. Well, a lot of good stuff happening. Anything I forgot?
Boy, we've been doing a lot.
I don't know. Yeah, there has been a lot.
We needed this 3-week break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll summarize again for everybody that obviously the council meetings in August are the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays. Important topics, the marijuana one we talked a lot about, the potential ballot question and the restrictions for potentially opening up the downtown. And always plenty of other good stuff that the council's got to wrestle with. Future will be signage downtown. It will probably be after August before we get back to that. And it won't be long before budget will be coming forward. Always an exciting time for everybody. So we want to thank you for joining us here at Breck Buzz. I want to thank John and Erin for being great hosts at getting you up to date on the things that are going on. And as always, Town of Breck website, contact council members, staff. We're here to hopefully get you up to speed as much as possible, and keep your eyes open for Engage Breck, because periodically we ask for opinions on different things, and it's been a very helpful tool for kind of gathering some information. So, and we'll see you again next month at Breck Buzz.